I know that term from the rap world, like based, but I didn't know what based means. But I've heard it used a bunch of times, and it's always a positive. Based is all about being yourself and not caring about what anybody else thinks. I don't care. I'm based.
Petty for president, racing and leveraging, facing competitors. I'm not the regular petty for president. You are not ready yet, serve and I represent. Trust me with all respect, petty for president. Moving protected, yes, no losing delegates. Seats in my home expense, petty for president. Black me my leather, yes, no speech impediment. TV like Letterman, petty on podium, powerful president. Seal as a rock.
Yo, what's up, big dog?
Check. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
No, dude, I'm happy to be here. It's great to finally meeting you. You know?
Yeah, dude. And you get the record for a person that actually jumped on here quick enough. You get for a comedian to be actually, let's see, 4 minutes ahead of schedule, dude.
I'm promoting a show. Actually, I was playing Fallout 76, if I'm being honest.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you just listening, we're talking to my internet, now real life homie, Matt Barker, one of my favorite people online. Hilarious.
Hello.
Done some of the greatest shit posting I've seen through the great meme wars of 2020 till now.
Yeah. Even though I don't post anymore.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, man. I was going to give you some shit. I feel like you've really slowed down on pumping content out there. You've just been busy doing stand-up and stuff like that, or... What's
yeah, I've been busy doing stand up and then learning how to promote shows, and then I've been writing scripts. I just got lazy, I guess. Just get super lazy.
Well, you do get kind of burnt out. I know I'm kind of trying to juggle a bunch of, because it's not people that aren't really in the creative field. It's kind of, okay, let me reword this. It's kind of funny. When I see people get into the creative field, they kind of treat it like, how you would treat a blue collar job. Like, let me just go put my hours in. And you do,
Dude.
Do have to sit down and put down the hours and kind of force it out, but 90% of it's going to be garbage. And so you do get burnt out just creating all the time. So I do understand that.
No, for sure. I think that's definitely one of the biggest, I guess for creating wise, if you want to talk about that, that's definitely one of the biggest misconceptions. People think they treat it like working out or something. They think if you just keep doing it, and it's building muscle, it'll just get better. Inspiration comes, whenever. I guess I'm trying to focus on what, if we're talking about creativity or the comedy scene. But no, I guess for online, definitely, it's hard to just sit there and just pump stuff out for sure.
How do you go about? Because for me, because I've entered the stand-up realm recently, and it's I do find an overlap from the creating content. And it's funny, a lot of comics I talk to, they don't enjoy creating content where I love it. And they find it really easy to just write jokes and take them on stage the same night, where I'm still kind of honing that skill. What's kind of your creative process for stand-up? Do you keep kind of a log of ideas, or do you take an hour out of the day to sit down and write like the Seinfeld way kind of, or what does that look like for you?
I can't stress enough how little I do. I don't do anything. I have a couple ideas I want to talk about. This is for just stand up, not creating content. For stand up, at least, I kind of take them modern route of stand up comedy, which I think that's more. It's more essence comedy, like what Louis C.K. does, or Patrice O'Neill did. Or Bill Burr. He just goes up with an idea. There's nothing. I write almost nothing out. You go up with an idea and it's funny, and then you just get there on stage. That's basically what I do.
Did that take you a while to get to that point, to have that confidence, or were you kind of a guy that had a running notebook for a while and you would go up there kind of knowing word for word what you're gonna say?
Oh, dude, yeah. When I first started out, oh my god, dude, it was definitely when I went up. I tried to write everything out, and it never worked. It was always robotic. And I'm sure you probably experienced this. Yeah. If you write something out, it gets super robotic, and and then the illusion's broken. The crowd knows you're telling a joke. If the crowd knows you're telling a joke, it's over. I personally think. And because of that, I kind of adapted relatively fast. I don't know how I did it, but as far as finding my voice and figuring out how I wanted to tell comedy, that was pretty quick. I think because I tried maybe for 6 months doing all this writing jokes out, trying to write jokes out on paper, figuring out like where the punchline is and all that. And it never worked. And then, yeah, I guess it's, wait, what were we talking about again? I still have like Fallout 76 on my mind. Like I'm blowing up people in my mind right now. That's why I just got, so I'm still in the mindset. I need to like,
it's funny. I've been trying to meditate for like at least a half hour a day. And so I did that so I'm 2 hours ahead of you. And so it was at like 5:30 when I got home. I was like, okay, I got an hour and a half. And so I was meditating, like 15 minutes into it. I just fucking crashed. And then I just woke up in a panic and I was looking at the clock like, oh, I got to go do an interview in like 10 minutes.
Wait. So you fell asleep while meditating?
Yeah, dude. It's hard not to. It's something.
Because you have to clear your mind, right?
Yeah, and then it's like, what else do once I clear my mind, like, I just want to sleep, because usually I'll be laying in bed at night and I'll just be thinking about all the problems in the world to solve and all the creative things I can do, and I can never just fall asleep. So when I actually do the meditation, that's like the only time I can clear my head. But it's pretty the stuff that you were saying about stand up, I find it inspirational and very refreshing, because I hear the opposite from comedians, and you're just one of those such like naturally funny guys. That's why I gravitated towards you so much.
Thank you.
Because you got that like not style, but it's kind of like the only other, like, how Trevor Wallace is just so naturally funny, or like Bill Burr so funny. Like these guys, they can just talk about whatever. They can just talk about what's going on in the moment, and their presence is so funny. You have that thing, and you can't teach that. And then, because a lot of people, they'll be funny in conversation, but then taking that to like a performance art in any sort of way, it doesn't translate. But so you're one of the few people that you can do that. So it's interesting hearing about your creative process, because when I go try to soak up game from seasoned comics who I have a lot of respect for, their whole thing is like, you got to sit down, you got to really do the work, which I understand that approach, but I think I'm more wired like you, and all the comedians that you mentioned are the people that I prefer anyways. But so it's kind of nice for me hearing that.
Maybe the people you're talking, because I've had this conversation many times with many people, and I think there is, I don't know, I think there's, and I thank you for saying that, by the way. I think there is, I don't know, every comedian I talk to that does we have this conversation about like if you should write it down, if you should, like the creative process. Whenever I have this conversation, the biggest thing that I think about is like, I'm trying to like put this into words. Yeah, people say that you have to write it down. You have to like go through this process, and you have to like take like years to like figure out your voice and stuff. I think all of that's complete bullshit. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. I think the only time you're gonna find yourself is when you actually know yourself. If you know what's funny, if you know how to be yourself on stage, that's when you find your voice. I think all these other people, when talk about putting in reps, like sitting down, writing your work. If you're sitting down, like thinking about your work, it sounds so crazy. If you're thinking about your work, you're doing it wrong. No,
but it does make sense, because I remember there was a South Park episode where they had they were making fun of this concept about they had a comedy award show. It's like how do you give an award for being like, because to get an award you have to take something serious, but how do you take comedy serious? So it's like this weird catch 20. What is it? 2020, 2022, 22, whatever.
Catch 22. Catch 2022.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
Because I've always thought about that too. You see people so like vigorously scribbling in the notebooks. Like, man, I just want to go talk some shit and talk about like the fucked upness in the world.
Yeah, and I think. No, keep going.
Well, and then I just, I feel so self-conscious about it, because I don't, like I read a lot of Robert Greene and like James Altucher and shit like that, like a lot of self-improvement type stuff, and a lot of these guys, they talk about how in the creative space, you need to learn the rules before you can break them. And so that's where I'm at with content, with making memes, with making videos, with doing these podcast formats, where it's like, I've learned the basics. I can step outside. Like I can have a serious conversation with you right now. I can ask you, hey, what kind of porn are you into? And then bring it back to like, so I can maneuver in these realms, but stand-up's just such a new thing where, I still feel in that little box. I guess it's fun to learn a new skill, but,
no, for sure. It's definitely very different. I totally agree. And I think that's the reason stand-up is still popular, because it is very different than memes and all that other stuff. You know, it's a live performance. I think, honestly, I think what we should probably do is establish, like, before we talk about how, you know, the creative process, I think it's good to establish, like, what modern comedy is and how the working modern comedian nowadays, which I think it's very different than what most people think. I think most people still think like going on stage, you're going on stage and it's like telling jokes. I think most people still think that's stand-up comedy, which it's like, I do not think that's what it is nowadays.
What do you think? Put us on game, dude. I'm curious. This is interesting.
I think most modern stand-up comedy is, okay, let's go back. So back in the day, let's say like the 2000s, 90s, stand-up comedy was a very passive art. Super passive. Basically, like that's where like one-liners, comics existed and all that stuff. People like passively told their jokes to a crowd, and the crowd just received it because that's kind of how it worked. Like you had like your 5 minutes, and then you got into the late night show, and then you got popular, and that was basically stand-up comedy then. But I think with the internet, like, and then people came to see your one-line jokes because there was no like internet or Twitter or anything. There's no memes, so that's where people went basically to, you know, experience funny stuff, right?
Yeah.
That in movies, and I think with the internet, that's kind of made people have so much, like, all these memes and all this easily accessible humor, instant gratification, instant funny, and I think because of that, comedy has evolved to be more of a not passive art form. It's something to get the crowd involved in. People go to have just like a conversation, based like a huge performance with the crowd, with the comedian, just like have a conversation. So I think because of that, stand-up comedy nowadays is not passive. It's more like interacting with people, telling a story. Like that's why people go, because that doesn't exist on the internet. It can't exist. It cannot exist on the internet unless you do like a Zoom call or something. But I think establishing that, I have like hardcore ADD or something today. Establishing that, going back to what you said, what's it called? People, yeah. So modern comedy nowadays is just about like going to see someone, just to see something funny, not to hear jokes. So I think if people know you're telling a joke these days, the illusion's broken, and it falls flat. Everything I've seen, at least. I mean, maybe I'm going crazy.
No, dude, it's not. It's so interesting hearing you talk, because you're kind of out. And if you're going crazy, I'm going crazy with you, because I just know, like, just from a fan perspective, that's how I feel. Like, I don't want to see somebody just go and be goofy. I mean, I do, but I enjoy when somebody's talking about something with substance. You know, when you're actually like receiving something. I mean, that's why I love Chappelle. It's why I love Burr. It's why I love Patrice, you know? So I love all these type of guys, because they're just pointing that mirror back on life. And it's not so much so when you say interactive, I mean, are you kind of welcoming heckling, or how do you categorize that?
For my shows, at least, I mean, I don't really post them online. I talk with the crowd. I get the crowd involved for sure. I mean,
and that's from a fan perspective. Sorry, I mean to cut you off. I just want to say, from a fan perspective, that is usually like the funnest part of the show.
Yes,
because it's hard, dude. It's hard to sit there for, you know, with our little pea brains, and sit there and listen to somebody else talk for an hour, you know? And so
that's modern comedy. Yeah, it's modern comedy is interacting with the crowd. I think that's what I was getting at, and I think I forgot why I established that. I'm super ADD, so I'm like forgetting everything. But that's modern comedy. I think that's modern comedy now. Maybe it's like still changing, but that's what it will definitely be, because that's one thing you can't find on the internet. And like these basically like these one-line comics and everything, and like writing comedy, that's better associated with like Twitter now and like memes.
Yeah.
If you want to write comedy, just make memes. That's writing. That's not. It should not exist on stand-up stage, because it's like I think it's just two totally different art forms. I'm rambling here. We got to get back on subject.
Bro, no, you're not rambling. You think you're such a comic, dude. It's so funny. You're so hard on yourself, but you're like dropping jewels right now.
I don't think I have. I guarantee you, if someone else listens to this, they'll be like, "This guy's crazy."
Nah, dude, because I'm listening to you and it's making a lot of sense to me. It's kind of like I said. I always feel like a crazy person in the world, and I think that's why when I found some of your. Well, you said. Let me ask you this really quick before we move on. So you said you've been writing some other stuff. What have you been writing?
I'm just writing scripts right now.
Scripts for like sketches or movies?
Movies, yeah.
Oh, no
my
shit.
buddy Dex. The people I make videos with, my buddy Dex, my buddy Brian.
I was going to ask you about them because you guys, where there's always like three of you in your videos, I was going to ask like who kind of does what and what the dynamic was or is, not was.
Yeah, no, it is. And by the way, I still like do videos, sketches a lot. I just don't post it on my account. They're all on Brian's account, like B-Soup Comedy, whatever.
What's it called? Is that like your guys' company, like squad name?
No, it's just Brian's account, but I just don't like. He sends me the videos to post on. Let me get his real account. Yeah, B-Soup Comedy, just B-Soup Comedy, and
B-Soup.
Yeah, we post our sketches on. He just posted sketches on his account. We still film a lot, and he posts on TikTok and Instagram. But going back to the script writing, we do it with three of us. The creative process, we honestly we don't plan anything out. We don't. This is like everything I say is like I can't tell you how much we don't do. We just don't plan anything. We're like, hey, it would be funny if you make this, and then we do it.
But dude, it's so funny because I totally understand it. I totally get. I mean, you guys are my type of people, 100%. Because it goes back to just that whole gist of how do you plan on being funny? It's like when I do anything that I do in my, it's so off the cuff. Like you can't think about it too. If you think about it too much, it's just it loses its magic.
1000%. It gets robotic. You're actively trying to be funny, then it's over. That's why. I mean, that's the thing I actually learned how to do the most is when I realized this is the type of comedy I wanted to do, and I guess that's technically knowing myself and finding my own voice. That was the hardest part, figuring out how to like rein it in, stay on subject, and not ramble off. That was the hardest part to do.
So, what's your plan with the movies? Are you guys going to release those independently? What are you trying to do with that?
I don't know. We'll see what's up. We do have like some connections that we can like show the script to. So if our connections don't work out, we're probably fucked because you can't just randomly, show the script to a Hollywood exec, then he gets it. That's just stupid. But
yeah, Harvey Weinstein's gone. Dude.
Dude, I know, bro. I can become the new Harvey Weinstein. Honestly, I'd be fine doing that.
Just find your future right now. It just came to you.
I'll just like, did he build this up? Did he like start banging chicks and abuse them from like the ground up?
I don't know. I would assume that he built the company before he was banging the chicks. Because I don't think anybody.
I'm going to do the other way. I'm going to do.
You're just going to fuck your way into it. It is 2022, so you probably just have to blow a bunch of dudes, to be honest. But
hey, as long as it gets me the company, I'm fine with that.
So are you guys? So you're looking to basically write the scripts and then pitch them and try to get them funded and produced through kind of a third-party funding, or are you guys going to try to shoot them yourself and then like sell the project to get it released, or have you thought that far at all?
For sure, just sell the scripts. I think that's what we're doing, and I mean it's going great. You know what it is? Like I think we started it just for fun, and then now like. Our scripts are actually like they're panning out really well. So we're like, oh, okay, maybe we can like use our connections and then sell. We could sell them, but we were doing it for fun. Like, cause basically it happened between sketches. Like what we were talking about. We were trying to film sketches. We got like basically writer's block. And we were like, okay, let's just like do something else entirely. So we could just stop thinking about trying to force a sketch. And then that's where it came. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. You guys got that group of friends, though. I've always missed that in my life, and I complain about that any chance I get. But because it's always good to just like have a tribe, and then you're all contributing something to it, and it pushes everybody along, and then just more shit gets created. So
Oh, dude, I can't stress enough how essential having a group is in comedy and creating anything, because, and I'm sure maybe you can attest to this. Like, if you're doing it alone, I think the most essential thing by far in creating is, having other sets of eyes, or riffing, getting an idea, and it, like, basically, if I'm talking with my friend Brian, then we're talking about something. The creative wave's going to happen. It's so much easier to generate like a creative wave. That's how I put it. Like, the creative process, kind of like catching a wave. It sounds super gay now that
No,
I say
not
it,
at all. It sounds yeah.
But with at least one other person and two people is perfect too. Like 3 people total. It's so much easier to create stuff. I've gotten almost all of my material I do on stage now has not been me just thinking of it alone. It's been me talking with friends, and I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. I should talk about that on stage.
Yeah.
So if you're now going back to you, like, making your memes are great, but doing it alone, do you ever think like if you like they could be better if you were talking with someone else? Or
Oh, 100%. That's the whole reason for me doing this podcast, because I feel like I've kind of I feel like I've came pretty damn far for just doing my own thing. But then yeah, I've talked about this before. And so once my account got nuked,
yeah. Wait, which one? Like 5? Like, I feel like your account's gotten changed or nuked like 10 times.
No, so I had an initial one, and so I got it up to 15. So I had it for a good 2 years, and nobody gave a shit. And then it's finally started growing, and I got it up to 15,000 followers, just with very, very rarely if people like big accounts reposting me or anything like that.
No,
well,
dude,
that's a lie. But so towards the end of it, so I started kind of meeting the people in like my niche of the internet there.
Right.
And then when I got nuked, I was surprised, because then everybody started, reposting me. It got me back on my feet. And that's when I was like, okay, there's a community here. And I realized kind of the importance of that.
Oh, dude, for sure.
So what I'm trying to do with this podcast is basically just like build a network, because I think other people are going to meet each other through it. If one person likes this page, I'll see, oh, okay, let me check this guy out. So it's kind of just creating this web of like, basically what I have people on here that aren't, because I'm not like a super political guy, but I'm not going to fall in line with all the crazy, like super left-wing bullshit. You know what I mean?
I feel we're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why, I talk to people like you, and because we're kind of, I don't want to say it's like this rare breed. Like, I'm not trying to sound like some virtuous, like special person or something like that, but I don't know a lot of people in real life that aren't either like on some, spectrum, or that just don't give a fuck at all, that just completely steer away from it. And like, you're one of those guys, you don't strike me as political at all, but you still, like, your content, like, you make this like hilarious, like, you'll lean into conspiracy theories and shit like that. And it's a lot of people just don't want to go there because they're scared of kind of the reaction. And
the one thing I do actively do is stay out of anything political. Even with my conspiracy theories, I don't really go political. I mean, I guess the most political I'll go is saying Michelle Obama's a man or something. Like, that's not political. It's just the truth. No, but no, and I agree with her. I hate fucking this political stuff. I think, honestly, this is my theory, dude. I think if someone's like, the more political someone is, I think the more like autistic they are.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. I mean, my whole thing is, I got fired from my job in 2020, and then I was off, I was just sitting at home and this was like, right when COVID was going on, all that, and there was just, you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't hang out with anybody. And then all of a sudden I started watching full length Trump briefings, right?
Naturally.
But then I'd watch the news later, and then I'd be like, that's not what he said. They're skewing everything. This is fake news,
Oh, dude, yeah.
And so that's how I kind of went down, which it did really open up my eyes to a lot of things. But I had another comedian on here, a guy from Portland. His name's Chris Clark. You have to check him out. He's a real good guy. Okay. He was on here yesterday, and we were just talking about, his origin story. So he was doing stand-up for about 7 years in Portland, and then Portland just went to shit. And so that's how his content, that's how him and I met on the internet, because then his content became more and more making fun of the state of the world. Me being from Seattle, so I really resonated with him making fun of like Portland crackheads, But so he was basically saying like, yeah, I don't want to be political. It's just the world. Like I'm shining a mirror on the world that's going on around me. It's like, I agree with that 100%.
Yes, I 100% agree. I get, yeah. Yeah, what you said, I'm not trying to be political. It's just me talking about the world. Yeah, for sure. You can, it's hard to distinguish sometimes, I guess, someone that's being political or someone that's just literally just talking about what's happening. A lot of people get that misconstrued.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to, unless you're going up there and making fart jokes, like it's hard to not talk about what's going on in the world. And
yeah,
the world has just kind of been really political. That's one thing Trump really fucked up is he made just everybody into politics on whatever, but he made politics way too cool.
Yes, you're like forced to do political stuff because it's way too cool.
Yeah, like he just made it way too huge. So how long have you been doing stand up? Is that kind of what your, at the end of the tunnel, is that your bread and butter? Do you want to be a stand up comedian? Do you want to be more on I guess I'll let you say your answer there, but
I don't know. Yeah. I first, okay, to answer your question, I've only been doing stand up like 2.5 years.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Because in between, I went back to Korea because I lived in Korea for like 4 years, and so on and off like 2.5 years. But
what were you doing in Korea?
I was banging Korean women. Why else would you go there, dog?
I don't know. Maybe military or something. I don't know.
No. I was doing teaching and then editing like English stuff in Korea. But the real reason I went there. Right?
Did you bang a lot of Korean chicks?
I did. I went on like a coom quest. It's the best way I could.
That's awesome. Was it relatively easy?
Yeah.
This is where the conversation gets dark.
Yeah. I don't know how much. Like I don't have a fetish, but it's just I know what I like, and they know. I guess, dude, if you're white and you're blonde hair, blue eyes in Korea, it's over, dude.
I might have to. Yeah, I might have to go over there and kind of see what's up. I remember when I first got out of high school and I was so, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I remember just like searching deep on the internet for opportunities. And one of my ideas is I wanted to move to Australia. And then the other one was I wanted to go to Japan because I heard you just get paid to be a white guy over there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's perfectly said. You get paid to be a white guy in Korea. The funny thing is, wait, what the what?
Well, it's just then at the time, I was like this 18-year-old, 150-pound kid. And it's like, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to put me in a suit and think I'm anything important.
Dude, you'd be surprised. I'm telling you, it's like comical racism over there. They think the only people that can speak and teach English are white people. And there's like upper echelons. Like if you have blonde hair, blue eyes, you can speak the best English. If you have like brown hair, brown eyes, you speak less English.
That's funny. So do you speak Korean at all, or did you primarily just communicate in English with everybody?
I told you I went over there to bang Korean girls, but I do like the culture. Yes, I do speak Korean. I did learn Korean.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, I do miss that. And
you're really passionate about that Korean puss to learn the language.
I love the culture. That's what I say, dude. I totally love the culture.
Did you ever have any fears over there with, just the political climate over there? Were there ever
dude, the best way I can describe Korea, it's like 1950s America. That's the best way I can describe it. It's very super like conservative, but like
great place for the white man.
It's a great place for the white man. They're really nice. They're super nice, super clean. They're really, dude, they're almost not political at all. The only political stuff that happened to me was people talking to me about Trump and how they liked him. That's it.
Interesting. But there's never because I thought there's just kind of a constant beef lingering in the air between, a threat from North Korea, for instance.
No, that's actually like where I kind of like delved into conspiracy theories a lot. You were talking about how you were watching Trump debriefings and how the news is lying. When I went to Korea, that's when I noticed the news was just flat out lying about stuff, and that made me go into rabbit holes because I was like, I guess one example, I was in You know, the Korean president got like she was into some like shaman cult stuff, right? The ex Korean president. Yeah, she was into like some satanic cults basically, and
Like
she got
actually?
yeah, actually, and she got
Okay.
like impeached. But
Whoa.
because of that, I remember my mom calling me like, "Oh my god!" Like she was freaking out. Like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I lived in Seoul, and then she told me to turn on like the news. So I went to like Fox and like a bunch of other sites, and they said like I think front page on like Fox or like I don't know like Guardian or wherever my mom linked. It said like Seoul is burning, like president impeached, like hundreds dead. And then I look outside and it's peace and quiet. There's nothing happening. There's no protests. I look online, the Korean website, there's no protests. So I'm like, why would America just flat out lie about this? I'm like, what? So then that got me to like just not believe the news. I'm like, what? And then it kept happening. The news just lying about these protests in Seoul. Nothing was happening. And then every day they on the American news. This was like 2017. This is around the time where like North Korean nukes were going. American news was talking about it like crazy there, right?
Rocket Man rhetoric.
Yeah, Rocket Man rhetoric. Is that what it's called?
Well, that's when Trump was calling homeboy Rocket Man at the time.
Well, yeah, that's what it was. The Rocket Man. And there's like, remember American news? My friends from back home hit me up every day like, oh, are you afraid of getting bombed? Like your question. The Koreans literally do not think of North Korea as a threat at all. It's just not, it doesn't exist because they know it's just totally fake.
Because they got that American muscle backing them up.
That's exactly what it is. So American news just like, so that's kind of what woke me up to like American news, like fear mongering and just making up all these fake stories. That's why I was like, why would they do this? And it's just completely not true. And then that's when I got into it.
I wish, dude, I'm excited to look at B Soup's page, but I really miss your sketches, man, because you're kind of like this satirical Alex Jones.
You know? Oh yeah. I'm doing less of, and Brian's page, I do less of those sketches, but I do need to do those, man. I've just been so busy, but keep going.
Oh, I'm just saying, I fucking love them because I could just tell that you're trolling, but I could tell that you've dabbled enough to have material. So I'm like, okay, this guy does have an interest in these fucking lizard people, but he's not crazy enough to sit there with his shotgun and like be worried about it. And so it was just funny.
We got to talk about that. Thank you though. But we got to talk about that, dude, because and I'm sure you've experienced this, man. Like when I was making those sketches hardcore, there's so many people that just believe them. And I had to have been your account too. I remember you posting stories of people like going crazy, like just the crazy political and like just lunatics that hit you up in your DMs, thinking you were like 1000% serious. And like, they thought you were like, I don't know. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, to this day, sometimes I'll see some people that follow me. I'm like, you're not going to last long. This isn't what you think it is.
Yeah. Dude, I remember you posting a story. Like what I'm trying to get at is like, I guess for my story, maybe this is just me, people hitting me up thinking my sketches were serious. And they were like, I remember one time I posted about Hillary or something, one of my sketches. And
is that where you're shooting the darts?
I think that's what it. No, that was like no. It was before that. I took that in Seoul. Actually. But one of these, I was talking about Hillary Clinton doing something, and a guy messaged me. He was like, "Hey, so what are we gonna do about it?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "What are you gonna do about what?" He's like, "What are we gonna do about this shit, man?" He was like super serious, and when I told him I was joking. He said he's telling his friend, what did he say? He's like, I'm going to inform my group that you're with them. Basically, he was saying like, because I was joking, I was with them. I was with the cabal. I was with the Illuminati. I was like, this guy's so crazy. I had so many lunatics basically hit me up. You don't have any lunatics hit you up?
Oh, dude, I have a ton of lunatics. But I mean, I have people that send me... I shouldn't complain about it because it's nice having traction and having people care about you.
Yeah.
But you know, I get people sending me like super political. Like somebody sent me a video. I got big backlash when I said that I got vaccinated. Like I have an autoimmune disorder. And then when COVID first came out, I didn't know what was going on. I never got the boosters or anything like that, but I went and got the initial vaccine. Right. And then so I was just kind of like putting out the message out there like, hey, you should probably do what you think is right for you. If you don't want to get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine.
I remember this. Yeah.
And if it makes you feel, and I got so much like, oh, you fucking just calling me a fake and everything like that.
Yeah, dude.
But I had this mass exodus on my page because I made a video where I was sitting in my car and I was just like, you guys, I've been getting a lot of bullying since I since I got vaccinated. But I just want to let you know I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. But then
I remember this video.
Then I was getting out of the car. I was like, like crawling out of the car like I turned into a lizard person or something.
Did they believe you or something?
I don't know. It pissed a lot of people off, but
dude, they're crazy. I mean,
it just the not allowing people to do whatever they want is just kind of where I think we've gone wrong.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
1,000%. Yeah. And I got the vaccine too because I had to go to Korea. So.
Did you go by yourself?
I went with by myself, but then my childhood buddy, joined me.
Okay. Was he there? So you there for 4 years? How long was he there with you?
About 3 years. He's still there.
Oh, okay. No shit. I was just going to ask like what that's like just moving to a country where you don't look like anybody and you'd probably, I don't know how well you spoke the language when you got there, but if you're just all by yourself right when you got off the boat.
Yeah, no, luckily I honestly didn't have that big of culture shock, to be honest. I think because Korea is probably the most like Americanized nation in Asia, So there wasn't any culture shock. Everything was basically like, just think of like America, but super tall buildings. Everyone speaks English. Like every single person speaks English besides old people. So I really didn't have that much of a problem with language or anything. It was great being basically like, one of the only foreigners there. That's like, there's no negative. It's great.
Is the food fire?
Food's amazing, dude. Oh my God. I did miss Mexican food though. So
is it kind of, were you on a work visa or something like that?
Yeah, work visa, teaching English, and then I went to editing later on.
How did you find that?
There's a lot of websites online. I think I found it through I was on 4chan. I think I was on Poll or something, and I saw people taught English.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's an adventure. Well, dude, we got 3 minutes, dude. So,
I feel like we talked about nothing.
Yeah. Well, 40 minutes flies by when you're having fun, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can keep going unless you're busy, unless you're doing something.
No, well, the Zoom, it cuts me off. I'm too cheap to upgrade to the Beyond free one. So the free one only gives you 40 minutes of recording time, but I've done a lot in my market research and just by creating content and doing my own podcast and everything. Once you go over 40 minutes, unless you're like a well-established, really famous person or like giving some sort of financial advice, you kind of burn through people's attention span. So I figure why would I pay $15 if it makes more sense to keep these? Plus it leaves room for people to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So have you thought about cutting only a minute segment out of a good part and posting that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's, I send this footage, I tell everybody you're free to do with any of this footage, whatever you want to do as well. But I shoot my own podcast every week. It's about 20 minutes long. Then I chop those up. I throw them on TikTok. I throw them on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But
how's your TikTok going? Do you feel like it's better numbers?
It's growing. The cool thing is that Instagram is paying me right now for Reels. I'm part of some beta trial.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, I made $80 in a day off just Reels yesterday.
Shut up, dude. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. So I think, and I have a conspiracy theory that they're getting their ass kicked so bad by TikTok.
Dude, yes.
That they're trying to find a way to keep people on Instagram and encourage people to create content over there, because it's really hard to grow on Instagram anymore. It used to be way easier, but my shit just doesn't, unless somebody like a fucking Donald Trump Jr., Fleckas or somebody like that reposts me, I don't get new followers.
Dude, that sucks. No, I totally agree. TikTok, I mean, we have millions of views on Brian's account on our videos on TikTok, and then Instagram, we have 8,000 views each video. It's nothing.
Yeah, well, the TikTok, what's the discover feature, and that's I think what they're kind of trying to do with the Reels on TikTok or on Instagram, I mean. But yeah, dude,
Talk
you'll
less
have
than 1 minute.
yeah, do you get that notification on your end too? I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, dude, you definitely got to come back.
Dude, I have to come back because none of this made any sense. I was just incoherently rambling.
Dude, I think you're being hard on yourself, man. You're such a comedian. It's hilarious.
I don't know, man. Hopefully there's something you can cut out because I don't know. But okay, shit. Dude, I'm down to come on though again for sure.
Well, yeah, dude, I'll be sure to plug all your socials on here. And then, this will probably be coming out on Monday. And just once again, dude, thank you so much for coming on, dude. And it's really fun to finally chop it up with you, man.
Dude, yeah. I can't wait to be on again if you want to have me.
Yes, sir. And we'll be in touch, brother.
All right, bro. See you.
All right. Take care, man.